your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
And welcome into a Monday edition of Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Quill. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. We appreciate you taking us along for the ride on this cold, blustery day. Justin Kalen, high atop the crew chief's box as always.
That's right.
Hope you had an enjoyable weekend. Long weekend for me. Hoosiers had a lot going on. Basketball Friday, football Saturday, and soccer on Sunday. Lots to cover, and then today we're off to North Carolina to cover the Indiana-Duke game tomorrow. Complete coverage of the Hoosiers for you right here on Indiana Sports Beat. Before we get to all that, let's get to the headlines with Justin.
All right, here are your headlines for this Monday, November 26th, brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. Phil Mickelson defeats Tiger Woods on the 22nd hole in the match on Friday. Took home $9 million. As Jim said, big weekend for Indiana athletics. IU basketball wins 76-62 over UC Davis on Friday night. Football season comes to a close as they fall to Purdue 28-21 on Saturday. And men's soccer advances with a 2-0 win over Air Force yesterday. They will take on Notre Dame in the quarterfinals. Those are your headlines, brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
Lots going on yesterday on the NFL. I did not see a single game. I saw a little of the Colts game.
You didn't miss much.
Did they end up losing?
The Colts?
Yeah.
That's a great question. Yes, they did. Yes.
They were not looking too good. But on the pitch yesterday, the soccer field, Indiana, taking care of business as they take care of Air Force. 2-0. That puts them in the, I don't know, what's it called, the quarterfinals?
Quarterfinals, yep.
Elite Eight.
There you go.
To make it easier for the rest of us neophytes. The Elite Eight takes place Friday at Bill Armstrong Stadium. Indiana taking on Notre Dame. Highest seeded matchup left in the tournament. Number 2 seeded Indiana, but number 1 ranked. And the highest seeded team left in the tournament is Wake Forest, knocked off by Akron. The Akron Zips, the only unseeded team left in the tournament.
They're a tough team, though.
Oh, hell yeah.
Year in, year out.
Oh, yeah. And they'll take on Stanford. Stanford's a 2-time defending national champion. Team Indiana lost to in the championship game last year. James Madison takes on Michigan State, who knocked Louisville out. Louisville did not win a game in the tournament. They were the highest number 1 seed in their bracket, and they got knocked off in the first match.
So why were they playing this weekend? I'm confused.
Who?
Louisville.
Who Louisville play?
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying they lost this weekend.
No.
Oh, okay.
They already lost. And then Maryland, a third Big Ten team, vying for a spot in the Final Four College Cup, taking on Kentucky. Kentucky, the number 3 seeded team, along with Maryland, number 11. And then Notre Dame is number 7 seeded. So Indiana's got the toughest road to get to the College Cup now. But there could also be 3 Big Ten teams in there.
Yeah.
That would be something.
Shows you the strength of the conference in soccer.
Yeah, because how many of those teams I just listed are ACC teams? Let's see. I guess Notre Dame would be considered an ACC team.
Yeah.
They are the only out of this. The ACC had the most into the tournament. I think they had 6 teams in the tournament. They got 1 left. Big Ten. Oh yeah, we're sitting here with 3. Thank you very little.
How many Big Ten start with?
Good question. I'm gonna guess 5.
That sounds about right.
Because you'd have Michigan and was Ohio State may have made it. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But on the program today, Don Fisher. Of course, we'll talk to Drew Davis. Lots of basketball news. Of course, Indiana prepares to take on Duke tomorrow night down in Cameron Indoor. That's going to be a pretty tall order for the Hoosiers, as they have been saddled with injuries.
Unless they get every injury back. I don't.
Well, I got the good news for you. I expect to see everybody back, with the exception of Jerome Hunter, of course. Now, I say that not knowing. That's a guess. I'm guessing they've been saving these guys till they are completely healed, ready for this game. Could be wrong. Race Thompson's been out for a couple weeks with that head injury. Well, concussion. So we'll see. We'll see. But the funny thing is, Friday they had a game Friday night against UC Davis. And a game that was, they trailed most of the game. As a matter of fact, I remember UC Davis held the score for 31 minutes. Their lead, their time of, they held the lead. You know how many lead changes there were?
One.
When Indiana took the lead, they did not get up. They won going away, which means that's when you're losing for most of the game, and then you come with a surge, and you don't just win, you win by points, as they ended up winning 76-62. And the game was a lot closer than that for a while.
Yeah.
Indiana's got up to a lead of like 19 points, I think. They were down 14 in the first half, and they were up 19 at one point. And then UC Davis was able to cut it to 1. Look, the thin roster has been affecting the Hoosiers, obviously. Hit us up on the text line, by the way. Let us know what you're thinking. 812-269-6367. If you're still got the old text line, that's not a problem. Fire that one in as well. But 812-269-6367. Let us know what you're thinking. Thoughts are. Football, basketball, doesn't matter. We're talking about it all today.
Joker, speaking of talking about it all, Joker texts in and says, women's game on Sunday. Also, Coach Morin has this team playing pretty well. 5-0 start.
Are they 5-0?
They are.
Yeah, they were. When I was leaving soccer yesterday, the game might have still been going on. And I was thinking about going over, but people were leaving, so I'm like, eh.
Means they were winning big.
Or the game may have been over. I can't. Or about to be over. I couldn't tell, and I didn't want to risk it. Traffic. It was a long weekend. Long weekend in Bloomington. Started Friday with the basketball game. And then Saturday, sadly, the bucket.
What'd you think about that game?
The same thing. That was a microcosm of the season. Just, you could not encapsulate it any better. The offense looked anemic and inept. A week after going up to Michigan and playing with Michigan, leading Michigan at halftime, they looked like they came out and just laid an egg again. A horrific, horrific offensive game plan that made no adjustments or changes, as it has all season. Looked ridiculous.
Well, they didn't even try a deep pass till, what, the third quarter?
I don't want to hear it. It's I don't get it. Well, I do get it. Peyton Ramsey's a 6-6 quarterback. I said that at the beginning. I think I said that a long time ago. It's not him about him personally, but as a quarterback, he's a 6-6 quarterback. He's just marginal. If they need 8 yards for a first down, they throw for 4. If they need 10, they'll throw for 7.
Yeah.
He's typical of Indiana's offense. He does everything the safe way. Don't try that downfield pass. Let me hit this little 4-yard out pass. I can hit that one. Takes the safe route time and again. Safe route, and the safe route gets you nowhere.
Well, when you've got a coaching staff that is the exact same way, that constantly wants to take the safe route,
exactly,
you can't really blame Peyton. I mean, it's just coming down from the higher up.
It's not about blame, but I do put it on the quarterback.
Yeah.
You're the man. Make it happen. It's up to you to make it happen. Make the plays happen. He gets a lot of options, and I think he opts out of trying to make the big play way too often. Always looking for that check down. As good as we heard how good these receivers are, they sure seem to not be open a lot. That's a lot of check downs. That's a whole bunch of check downs.
Well, I think Whop Phillier being out for the majority of the year, that hurts this team a lot. I mean, you're taking away.
He's not a deep threat. He
Right,
hit
but
him
I mean-
okay, so that is
but
not what we're talking about. Talking about a deep threat, big play.
Well, if you got a guy like Whop and his speed, throwing him a little slant through the middle, defense
can't
is going to
rely on that.
pay more attention to him. Right, you can't rely on it, but it's still a solid game plan that Indiana couldn't deploy.
That has nothing to do with why they did not have big plays. You still got Nick Westbrook. You've got Donovan Hale. You've got Luke Timian. You've got Ty Freifogel. They've got plenty of receivers. You got Reese Taylor. Where was he Saturday?
Sure. I wanted to
This
see
is
him
the
get
most
thrown in
inept
quarterback.
run offense I've ever seen. It looks like the Cleveland Browns. Before, not even the Cleveland Browns now.
I was about to say, that's pretty good. Cleveland's been rolling.
Yeah, not now. The old Cleveland Browns. It's just aggravating.
Yeah.
But it's, tried to be nice during the season, but no, not anymore. DeBoer's got to go.
Yeah.
DeBoering offense, horrible. Every week, same old ridiculous game plan. And then they have a good game, then they'll have 3 bad games. Well, that's a direct reflection on the coaching staff to me.
Yeah.
You want to know what a good coaching staff does? You look at Jeff Brom. He came into a 4-7 team, and he does what? Oh, let's go ahead and take him to a bowl game right now.
Twice in 2 years in a row.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, immediately.
Yeah.
Indiana went from going to bowl games to not. Draw your own conclusion.
It's frustrating. It's certainly frustrating for Indiana fans.
When you have the talent.
Yeah.
But Indiana doesn't care about football. I don't want to hear anything other than that. That's a fact. Indiana University does not care about football. Period. And if you think other than that, I'd sure love to hear that opinion on how they do.
Maybe they used to, but not anymore.
Big question now. Jeff Brom. Is he going to Louisville or not? We're going to talk about that. Don Fisher's on the show. Drew Davis. All that and more. Stay here. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat. Coming right back after this.
But I can't be late, 'cause then I guess I just won't get paid. These are the days when you wish your bed was already made. It's just another manic Monday.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook. Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Monday. Getting recouped from a large sports weekend in Indiana. Joined now by Sammy Jacobs from HoosierHuddle.com. Make sure you check out the coverage there at HoosierHuddle.com. Sammy, how are you, sir?
I'm doing okay. Heading back to work. I wish it was still Thanksgiving break, but breaks can't last forever.
You and me both, brother. Headed to North Carolina after this today, but long weekend of activity in Bloomington this weekend. Centerpieced by the bucket game, Indiana taking on Purdue in a game that was for a lot of things, bragging rights, state superiority, recruiting implications, bucket implications, bowl implications, all kinds of things. Indiana coming out on the short end of the stick, of course. Purdue with a 28-21 win. Where is Indiana right now in football in their program, do you think?
They're not as bad as they used to be, but they're not as good as they could be. Look, when it was bad, it was really bad. I think people are
0-11, 0-12, yeah, those are bad years.
You know, the 1-11 Kevin Wilson years, the 3-8, DiNardo years, things like that, the 3-8, 3-9, 4-8 Bill Lynch years. It was a step back this year, but the program as a whole is so much further than it was at the beginning of the turn of the century than it is now. But, it was just a disappointing loss in terms of, it was just a weird season, and it was a disappointing loss because of that, and it's a disappointing loss because you don't get to go to a bowl game. And this is something I was talking to people last night. You look at teams like Iowa, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Northwestern, all these teams who go to bowls every year, so often. They have, 30, 60 more practices under their belt for a 4-year player than Indiana. And I think that, people will say, well, it's only 6 wins, you don't go to a bowl game. Well, that's important. That is a lot of practices to help develop your players. If you're not bringing in 4- and 5-star recruits, help develop your players to even the playing field a little bit.
I agree, and it's both sides of the ball that Indiana needs to improve on. Of course, there's been tons of talk, and me included, about on the offensive side of the ball, and I've made no bones about it. The offense was very boring this year, and I think that there has to be a change on the offensive side of the ball. I think that someone with a fresh set of eyes needs to be brought in because this was a very, very, very vanilla offense that was shockingly boring on Saturday. I could not believe the game plan that was laid out to win this game that didn't show much change throughout the game, which was very disappointing to me. But I think without a doubt there has to be change on the offensive side for Indiana to succeed.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, the biggest change would be, at offensive coordinator. And I think he hinted at that pretty clearly. Now, I've read comments where people didn't think that, but in the post-game press conference, he said he wanted to look at scheme and all that, all those things. And that to me was maybe just because I have it in my head, but that to me was a pretty clear sign that there's going to be some changes and probably some major changes on the offensive side of the ball. And some of it was also personnel on the field. You had a quarterback who really couldn't, he threw the ball downfield well, and then in games where they needed to throw the ball downfield well, he didn't. And it hurt them. They didn't use the middle of the field on seam routes and things like that. He couldn't, the biggest play to me that Peyton Ramsey could not make is that 15 or 20-yard out route to the sideline, which is a very important play on offense, and he's just not capable of making that throw. And then, sure, the receivers dropped some balls, on Saturday, and but they didn't take their shots downfield until very late, which they had been doing the second half of the year after, basically after that first half against Minnesota. And then you had the run game was fine, but that offense, you thought they'd pull everything out of the playbook, and they just didn't.
Yeah, that's the thing that shocked me. I'm like, all the marbles are on the line here for a bowl game, for bragging rights, which has great implications in recruiting. And I thought that anything that needed to be done would be done, and it wasn't. It looked like they were playing Florida International, and they were not going to show anybody any plays. It was the first game of the year. I was just dumbfounded by the lack of doing everything you can to win the game in my mind, which, now that's funny to say that when they did come within a score, but they just were so not there all day long until it's like they don't play until the fourth quarter almost offensively. Oh, we got to hurry up and try to score now. And I think a lack of tempo drove me nuts this year. They were the slowest up-tempo team I think I've ever seen in the history of the no-huddle offense.
Yeah, and that's probably true, and they limited possessions, and maybe that was trying to protect the defense a little bit. And then, if they went too up-tempo and their defense got torched, people would be picking them apart about, well, you're going too fast, and the defense is not getting rest, and you're not making adjustments on the sideline, and all that stuff. So there's no making people happy in terms of tempo. But when they did go fast, they actually moved the ball and stressed the defense. They just didn't go fast enough. And a lot of that starts on first and second down. If you're not getting first downs, you can't go fast. And IU, I think, was like 4 of 15 on third down or something like that. And if you're not getting first downs, you can't really run tempo. And then just offensively, you need a change. I mean, they all these numbers, and people are going to point out that Randy completed 65% of his passes, and that IU's passing in total yards ranked third in the Big Ten behind Ohio State and Purdue. But they also ranked, I think, 10th in yards per attempt, and slightly above. I forget who's behind them, but they were miles ahead of Rutgers, who I think had averaged like 3-point-something yards per pass, something awful. But it's all these. It's not good enough, and it's trying to win games in baseball by just hitting singles and living with that. At some point, you're going to need to hit a home run, and IU just didn't hit enough big plays this year.
Sammy, Justin Kalen texts into the show. Joker texts in and says, Sammy, they played everything in DeBoer's playbook.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
They used every play in DeBoer's playbook, says a texter.
I think that was just a text saying that the board's playbook is not very long. But on the defensive side of the ball, another question has come up. Indiana obviously regressed on defense, but a lot of that is that they lost 8 starters, so you can't forget that. 8 very, very good players. So there was some losses there, but the defense also looked like it took a step back. The secondary, while young, got torched a lot. And a question about Tom Allen, who is still maintaining the role of DC while being head coach, whether or not he would relinquish those duties, which I hate to see that because he's a hell of a defensive coordinator and does a great job of the defense, but the head coach has to be the head coach. I don't know if there's going to be a change there, but he definitely hinted at that as well.
Yeah, well, with the issues on offense and special teams, you have to be fair to your team and your fan base and your program and say, hey, I'm the head man, I'm steering the ship, and you have to take, some responsibility. If that means giving up your defensive coordinator responsibilities because you can't, put in all the time that's needed to really come up with game plans and schemes and all that stuff, so be it. You have a guy on staff in Kane Womack who ran the same defense at South Alabama, who's the defensive coordinator down there. He would be a logical choice to bump up to defensive coordinator, take over those play calling duties, and then he could always help in game planning and watching tape and all that stuff. But he has to oversee with the struggles of the offense and the just abject failure of special teams this year. He needs to take a larger overlook at his program and really become a head coach. And he's learning on the job, and I think, that was one of my positives from this season is Tom Allen did show some growth. And it really happened after the Minnesota game. I think it was a big deal for him to talk about that bowl game. It had been taboo to talk about it at Indiana up until then. He took a big leap there in doing that, and I think all that stuff. And then saying we're going to throw the ball downfield and doing that for a couple games, that was a step in the right direction. And we'll see. It's a big off season, and we'll see what he does. Because there are changes that need to be made that'll make or break his tenure at Indiana.
If Jeff Brom leaves Purdue to go to Louisville, how much does that help Indiana in recruiting after losing the game to Purdue?
Depends on who Purdue hires. I mean, everything is a we'll see, and it's something that every action has a reaction and a ripple effect. And if Brom goes to Louisville, it's definitely going to affect recruiting because you're so late in the recruiting cycle already, and there's no reason for Louisville to wait on Louisville. And if I'm Purdue and he's going to Louisville, I don't want him to wait either. I want to get my new staff in there and go hit homes and prepare for the bowl game and recruit. So it'll have some effect, but to what extent, we'll have to wait and see.
How hard do you think it is going to be for Jeff Brom to leave Purdue now?
I don't know. I mean, it's being from out of state, if somebody had offered me a PE job in New York City, it would be very difficult for me to turn it down. To go home, I haven't been home in, over a decade and things like that. So I can't speak to what Jeff Brom feels, but it's when home calls, it's different. A different type of animal.
Yeah, and he's been gone for a while. He had the job at Western Kentucky, and he started out in Louisville, but he's been gone for a while, and this is an opportunity to not only just him go home, but basically to take the whole family home, because Greg Brom and Brian Brom are also on his staff at Purdue.
Yeah, it's again, when home comes calling, it's difficult to turn down, and we'll see. It was Dockage reported that it would be announced today. It is November 26th, and we've received no notice of a press conference or things like that. So it's wait and see, and IU needs to worry about themselves instead of worrying about where Purdue is going right now, because IU has a lot of self-evaluation that they need to look in the mirror and figure out who they are before they can start worrying about what Purdue is doing again.
Absolutely. Sammy Jacobs from HoosierHuddle.com. I can't thank you enough. We'll be checking back in with Sammy to keep up on recruiting and whatnot, what's going on as the end of the season progresses. But, Sammy, thank you so much, sir. Make sure you check it out at HoosierHuddle.com.
All right. Thanks, Jim. Have a good day.
Thank you, too, Sammy. Sammy Jacobs from HoosierHuddle.com. Brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry. Taking care of the needs of Southern Indiana's families for over 30 years. Let doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family at Reynolds Family Dentistry. We've got plenty more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. Don Fisher's on the show. It's Monday. We'll be back with all that and more right after this. This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area, or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or Today's guest is brought to you by Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when Mother Nature strikes. BrooksRoofingIN.com. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Monday. What is today's date?
26th.
Monday, November 26th. Holy cow. Drew Davis from Peaks.com joins us now. Drew, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
I'm all right. A long weekend. Started with a basketball game way back on Friday. It seems like it was a long time ago, and then Hoosiers took on UC Davis. But it wasn't that long ago, but big turnaround, and got Duke coming in tomorrow. But Indiana hopefully is going to have a lot of players back that they have been without as they head to Durham.
Yeah, there was obviously some signs of that on Friday night, as you saw Zach McRoberts and Devontae Green dress out, go through warm-ups and all of that. So they definitely appear closer to being back. And basically the way I'm looking at it and from everything Archie said and, the way everything, has shook out, it appears that if there's no setbacks, Devontae Green and Zach McRoberts will have a good chance to play against Duke. And the only thing is it's never easy to go back out there and have your first game back against a team like Duke. So if this is their first game back, that will definitely be challenging. But I'm sure they'll be prepared, especially McRoberts, and we'll just have to see how that goes and see how they kind of do as they get their feet back underneath them.
And then now they head down to a very, very difficult road game to take on the Duke Blue Devils, the number one team in the country. I think there's no question as the difficulty of this task. Zion Williamson, R.J. Reddit, the whole crew. This is going to be a tough matchup for Indiana, especially even getting those guys back off of injury. They are just coming back. So they're still going to be one-handed down there in Durham, so to speak.
Yeah, they will be. And, when you match up with Duke, you got to have depth because defensively, it's not easy to guard guys like R.J. Barrett and Zion Williamson because they put a lot of pressure on your defense. And if you don't have multiple guys you can throw at them, it's going to be a long night. And you saw Indiana against UC Davis, they had a lot of guys playing a lot of minutes, whether it be the 40 minutes for Jawan Morgan or 39 for Romeo Langford. And even Tennessee and Durham both being over 36 minutes. So that's just, I don't think, in my opinion, is realistic to keep guys out there that much against a team like Duke and keep them fresh for the end of the game. And I think I think having these players back will be a big shot in the arm if they do come back. And I think Archie will try to, expand the rotation a little bit, because right now Indiana's putting a heavy workload on very few amount of players.
Absolutely, and that's got to be not just straining the team, but it's got to be straining those guys, because that takes a lot of energy out. And to turn around and be ready for these games again is travel. This is a tough game because, first of all, you're traveling. You're on the road. It's a 9:30 game on top of that. And you're going to have half of a roster of guys that haven't even been playing. And so these guys have to be worn out that have been playing 39, 40 minutes a game. And then now to travel and try to get guys back and then weld them into a cohesive manner on the court is probably going to be a difficult chore as well.
Yeah, and I'd say a big spot you'll see that, kind of fatigue on if it does kick in is on the defensive end. As Archie said, it's hard to ask these guys to defend at a very, high level and defend at the expectation level that he has whenever they're playing that many minutes. And unfortunately, this is, it's just the way things have been for Indiana. They've been bitten by the injury bug, and they've had to kind of overcome that and figure some things out. And they built some little extra depth that they can get these players back, which one bright thing that will come out of it. But I'm sure Archie Miller is chopping at the bit to get some of these other guys back, so we can have a lot more weapons in his arsenal.
Absolutely, and talk about Duke as a team. I mean, we from the outside looking in, we've seen what they did to Kentucky. We know that they've got Zion Williamson and just a cadre of three freshmen that are just all NBA ready freshmen. Tough matchup for Indiana.
Yeah, they got the four talented freshmen in Trey Jones, Cam Reddish, R.J. Barrett, and Zion Williamson, and they're off to a great start in the season. I know they dropped that game to Gonzaga, but I don't really look at that as much of a negative. Neutral floor out there, third game in 3 days. You can play a very good Gonzaga team and fight them all the way to the end and come up short. I think that says, that the game will teach Coach K a lot about his team. Will be good for those young guys because, the best way to grow is a little bit of, humbling, and that's what happened to them in the Maui title game. But Zion Williamson, like I said, and he's been a force down low, and he's a guy that I don't think anyone in college basketball really has a good matchup for, and he's very tough to slow down. And
who is going to match up with him? Who do you see guarding him? Is that going to be Juwan? Is that going to be Justin Smith? Deron Davis? Is it going to be by committee?
I think it'll be by committee a little bit, but I think the main guy that will spend a lot of time on Zion will be Justin Smith. I think that makes a little more sense than Juwan Morgan, because the last thing Indiana needs is Juwan Morgan going out there and getting in early foul trouble. So I think putting Justin Smith on him makes a lot more sense. But you look at the things you're going to have to do to beat Duke. Like I thought Gonzaga had a really good game plan, especially during that first half. You have to take care of the basketball, really value the ball, because if you start turning it over, it gives Duke easy opportunities to get on transition and push the tempo, and that's where they're at their best. And they play above the rhythm, and it's pretty hard to stop them when they're in transition. So you got to be smart about it. Not just value the basketball, but also take smart shots, because if you start jacking threes, you're missing long threes. And that's almost like a turnover, and let them, feed out and get out in transition as well. The other thing you have to do is you have to stop their drives, which is not going to be easy to do because they have a lot of guys like RJ and Zion and Trey that can all put the ball on the floor, and they're very hard to keep in front of you. And the other thing I think you have to do is you have to run good stuff in the half court and get good shots, because you're not going to beat Duke unless you have a little bit of success on the offensive end. And it's all about getting good looks, and that's huge against them. And you got to do your best to limit guys like Zion Williamson. You can't completely slow them down, but you got to make life as difficult as possible and kind of limit some of the things they do.
What is it going to take for Indiana to actually win this game? I mean, not that that's an expectation. It's not. It's a tough a game for anybody. No one is expected to go in to the home of not only the number one team, but this number one team, Duke, in Cameron Indoor, and come out with a win. But what would it take for that to happen?
I'll say it's very hard for me to imagine Indiana winning this game. It feels like the odds are kind of stacked against them going to Durham. Somewhat sure-handed with guys coming back. That's very tough. But for Indiana to win this game, I think what would happen, and for that to take place, would be Jawan Morgan would have to have a huge game, similar like he had against UC Davis, where he was just feeling it. And Romeo Langford's going to have to play really well. He's got to play really well defensively and slow somebody down. He's also going to have to step up on the offensive end. And I think have a performance similar to Arkansas, similar to what he had down there for Indiana to have a chance to win. And I also think some of the complementary pieces are going to have to step up. And if Indiana wins this game, I think Robert Fennessy will play well, and I think Trey Jones will play poorly because I think that's a matchup that could swing things. And if Fennessy is able to make Jones play poorly, then that's going to stop Duke from, having that flow as much as they would. And it would also affect their, just ability to run their stuff and beat people off the bounce. And I think that's a matchup that is much more key than anyone is really looking at or giving it, the credit of being a big matchup.
Indiana's schedule does not get much easier. This is this tough stretch that they have coming up. Games against Duke, against Butler, against Louisville. Big Ten play gets started early. They've got a tough stretch coming up.
Yes, very tough stretch. 5 or 6 games against Power 6, conference opponents. But the stretchers on the schedule last year, and as we saw, the stretch taught Archie Miller a lot about his team. And I felt like the team genuinely did get better after that little stretch in December. I thought that taught that team a lot about itself. Obviously, it's a different team, but I think that you'll see more of the same. And I think that you'll see this team start to come on their own a little bit as they hit that stretch because it starts to challenge them. And there's no boring sleepwalk games from that. They're all games that you got to bring your A game in if you want to have a chance to win.
Absolutely. What's the biggest thing that we can expect to see from this game from the Indiana Hoosiers, do you think?
I think you're going to see Indiana play better than people think. I know a lot of people think Indiana's just going to go in there and get absolutely rolled. And that could happen, obviously, but I don't think you're going to see a Kentucky-like performance against Duke from Indiana, like Kentucky had in the Champions Classic. I think it'll be much closer. I think it'll probably be 15 at most, but I don't think Indiana has the goods to win this game yet. But I think Archie Miller will go in there and have a strong showing, and I think you'll see him do some things that impresses. And I think it'll be a game worth watching, especially early on. And I think Indiana will take some punches and stay in there, but in the end, Duke will be too much. But I think there will be some encouraging signs to come out of this.
Drew texted into the show as Bill texts in and asks, says the defense has dropped since McRoberts has been out. Does his presence on the floor dictate how well our defense plays?
I think it does. I think nothing against Hal Durham. He's been very good, but I think having McRoberts in there is instead of that third guard is a big boost, not only defensively, but I think a spot that people have forgot about McRoberts' value is with ball movement. McRoberts' a good passer. He tends to catch the ball and make that quick pass and keep the ball moving, where Durham will put the ball on the floor a little more. And I think that makes you easier to guard. And, when it's easier to guard somebody when they're dribbling than when the ball's, moving through good ball movement. McRoberts helps with that as well. But defensively, he's great, man. And, you hear about it every week because he chases around, Indiana's best players in practice, and he gives them fits. So, he's a guy that, defends at a high level. And, not just his defensive ability, but his leadership, constantly communicating, making them other guys feel comfortable. You really can't put a value on that, and I think it's going to be a big boost for Indiana to get him back.
Absolutely. Not only in that regard defensively, but just as a calming effect entirely on that defense. He's one of the captains of that team, Zach McRoberts, And defensively, he offers a calming effect. And on offense as well, I think he can help slow things down. And he's shown that he can hit a three-point shot as well if need be. He doesn't take a ton of them, but when he does, he's been kind of accurate. So he's a very valuable presence on both ends of the court for Indiana.
Yeah, Zach's done a good job in the offseason, working hard, being able to knock down more open jump shots on a consistent basis, and that's a big, weapon for him. Just if he could shoot at a level that keeps the defense respected or makes the defense respected, that's huge because that means they won't be able to just say off him and key on another guy. And last year that happened, but I think this year Zach will be able to shoot it at a respectable enough level that it doesn't allow defenses to do that. And I think his presence just makes everyone else feel that much more confident. I think he's one of those guys that he's not the most vocal of a leader, but when he's on the court, he sets a tone and leads by example, and I think it just kind of rubs off on everyone else.
Absolutely. Drew Davis from Pigs.com. I can't thank you enough. Look forward to talking to you at the end of the week. We'll see what happens down in Durham, North Carolina as the Hoosiers visit the #1 Duke Blue Devils tomorrow night at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Thanks a lot, Drew. Appreciate you.
Oh, no problem, man. I'll talk to you at the end of the week and have a safe trip down to Durham.
Thanks, sir. Brought to you by Brooks Roofing. Probably working in your neighborhood right now. BrooksRoofingIN.com is where you can find them. Lots of snow and ice or ice damage, hail damage, whatever you have, they'll get you taken care of. Brooks Roofing, BrooksRoofingIN.com. That's going to take care of this segment. We've got plenty more coming up on the show. Don Fisher's going to join us today. Of course, we'll talk to Don about everything that went on over the weekend, and especially the trip down to Durham as the Hoosiers will go into ACC country in a tough matchup. Man, this is going to be tough for Indiana. Obviously, Duke is a very, very good team. Indiana has been depleted with injuries. Hopefully they're getting those guys back. But even getting them back, they are out of shape, out of sorts, out of practice, and out of sync. It's a lot of things that have to come together for Indiana. And that's just to be competitive down there. My gosh, having watched Duke play this year, it's like watching a small pro team.
Yeah.
And no, they could not beat a pro team, but...
Oh, come on. Let's entertain the thought.
No, they absolutely could not beat a pro team. You can take the worst NBA team, and they will beat Duke.
No, I'm with you. I hate the argument that a college team could beat a pro team ever.
Yeah, it's baloney. Alabama could not beat anybody.
No.
No one. They would get crushed. I mean, absolutely crushed.
It's worth noting that the ACC Big Ten Challenge actually starts tonight.
Oh.
As Nebraska heads to Clemson and Minnesota heads to Boston College.
Ooh, Nebraska and Clemson. Nebraska is at Clemson?
At Clemson.
Ooh, Clemson's a good program.
Yeah.
They've got a good season. They're expecting to have a good year.
Yeah. Both ACC teams are favored, by the way.
Well, what's the other game?
Minnesota at Boston College. So they're both on the road.
Okay, so both home games for the ACC.
Yeah.
What's the slate? Is those the only two games
Those
tonight?
are the only two games tonight, yeah. And then tomorrow you've got Virginia Tech, Penn State, Illinois, Notre Dame, Michigan State, Louisville, Pittsburgh, Iowa, NC State, Wisconsin.
Give those to me again, but go slow.
All right. I don't know if I can do that. Virginia Tech, Penn State.
Stop. Who's where?
Penn State. Second team I name is the home team.
Okay, so that's usually how it is. But all right, so Penn State, we're going to see how they are. They lost a lot, but they're still supposed to be okay. But we'll certainly that's going to be a good measuring stick for them.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Then you got Illinois at Notre Dame.
That's a tough place to play, man. At the Joyce Convocation Center,
Yeah.
Illinois, they're at Upstart. Yeah, I don't know what Notre Dame has, to be honest with you. So that'd be very interesting to see how that one turns out.
I think this one's going to be a sneaky good game. Michigan State at Louisville.
I think you might be right. Louisville has shown to be okay, although they lost to Marquette, who Indiana blew out.
Yep. That's a good game.
Well, it's a good game because you had two lesser
Yeah.
opponents playing. But equally talented, I guess you'd say. But Michigan State should be able to win that game by double digits, no doubt.
Yeah.
But it's a tough place to play on the road in Louisville.
Then you've got Pittsburgh at Iowa.
Iowa definitely a resurgent team. They've improved, revamped their entire offense with some good recruiting, and they're getting better. And that's a tough place to play down there in Carver Hawkeye.
Yep. And both those teams, by the way, undefeated. Pittsburgh 6-0, but they have not played on the road yet. And then you've got NC State at Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin should be able to handle that storm pretty easily. That's you talk about a difficult place to play, the barn up there in Wisconsin. So, and Ethan Happ and crew are back. Wisconsin's one of the better teams in the upper half of the Big Ten this year. So I'm picking the Big Ten in that one.
And then you've got 6 more games on Wednesday. Syracuse at Ohio State.
Ooh. That's going to be a good measuring stick for Ohio State. Ohio State's one of those teams that I'm like, they're kind of in the middle. I don't know where they're going to be.
Syracuse is a tough game. Then you've got Rutgers at Miami. No interest in that.
Nope.
Virginia at Maryland. That should be okay.
That one should be an interesting game right there. The smothering defense of Virginia going on the road against the running Maryland Terrapins. That's going to be an interesting matchup there.
And another good one, Purdue at Florida State.
Yeah, that is. That's going to be the first real test for Purdue as they go on the road to face a talented Florida State team.
And then Georgia Tech, Northwestern, and probably the best game of the ACC Big Ten Challenge, North Carolina at Michigan.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the best game?
That should be phenomenal. Number 7 versus number 8. Should be good.
I think Indiana Duke's going to be pretty damn good.
If Indiana sticks with them, yes, I agree. But I'm not convinced that that'll happen.
It's going to be tough. That's a tough place to play, man. It's like other teams going into Assembly Hall. I don't care how good you are. That's why Indiana had that record of knocking off top 4 teams.
Right.
6 in a row or 5 out of 6? Yeah, it's tough. It's just some places are just hard to play.
Yep.
And that's one of them, as is Assembly Hall. We got a lot to come back. Don Fisher's on the show today. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat's coming back right after this.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
And welcome in to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Monday, November 26th. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. I know you have choices, but thanks for taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride. Jim Coyle here. Justin Kalen high atop the crew chief's box.
That's right.
Let's get to the headlines before we get any further.
All right, here are your headlines for this Monday, November 26th, brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. Phil Mickelson defeats Tiger Woods on the 22nd hole in the match on Friday. Took home $9.4 million if you count all the side bets. Big weekend for Indiana athletics. IU basketball wins 76-62 over UC Davis on Friday. Football season comes to an end as they fell to Purdue 28-21, and men's soccer advances with a 2-0 win over Air Force yesterday. They will take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in the quarterfinals. Those are your headlines, brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
And welcome back in. Hope you had a great weekend. Very, very busy weekend for Indiana Sports Beat, as Indiana had a basketball game at Simon Scott Assembly Hall on Friday, a football game at Memorial Stadium against Purdue on Saturday, and a soccer match against Air Force at Bill Armstrong Stadium on Sunday.
Keeping you busy.
Very, very. And now headed off to Durham, North Carolina, as the Indiana Hoosiers take on the Duke Blue Devils tomorrow night. Number 1 in the country, Duke Blue Devils. That game, of course, on ESPN at 9:30.
How far is Duke from here?
Too far. Probably 10 and a half hours.
That long?
Thereabouts.
I'd have guessed about 6 or 7.
Oh, no.
Whew.
It's 7.5, 8 hours to Charlotte. Durham is another 2:15 from Charlotte.
No wonder you want me to drive you there.
That would be nice. That would be so nice. Yeah, tired. Very tired. At least football season's over.
Sure.
Unfortunately. As the Hoosiers lose to Purdue over the weekend, they will not become bowl eligible. Purdue does. Will Purdue have Jeff Brom coaching them in a bowl game? That's the next big question.
I thought Sammy Jacobs had quite a good quote in his interview. He said, IU needs to worry about themselves before worrying about Purdue. It was so good I even wrote it down. Because, I mean, that is kind of the mantra that we have gotten into here as of late is and even the season, all season long, you mentioned up in the locker room. But what have you done to beat Purdue today? Worry about yourselves. Worry about getting better, and then you can worry about who you can't beat.
Oh, that's true.
That's just my opinion. Sammy said that, and it kind of clicked with me. Yeah, why are they so obsessed with Purdue? I get it, they're a rival, and I get it. That's probably the most comparable team on your schedule.
Well, it was the last team that they played. It's
right, and I get that it's the second year in a row that they've had to play with a bowl on the line, but still, get better yourselves, then worry about Purdue.
Well, it's not worried about Purdue. It's when you're not winning, when you're not putting on an exciting brand of football, and Purdue is.
Sure.
And Purdue is probably your biggest in-state rival for recruits. So that's what I meant in that regard.
Yeah.
From a recruiting standpoint. I mean, they're in direct battles with them over a lot of the in-state guys.
Right. And it is hard to not worry about Purdue only because they are getting.
It's not Purdue, it's Jeff Brom.
Right. They're getting a bunch of those recruits that you just talked about.
It's not Purdue. That's why him leaving is huge. Who does not want to play for Jeff Brom? He's a great coach, a great quarterback.
There aren't many guys or coaches around the country that could sell Purdue and getting guys there.
He can because it's not Purdue he's selling, it's Jeff Brom.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They can wrap it in all the Purdue black and white or black and gold they want. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Those guys are not going. Have you been to West Lafayette? They're not going to Purdue. They're going to Jeff Brom. Jeff Brom U. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But it's huge. It'll be huge. It'll help. But Indiana has to take care of itself or it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Who's in West Lafayette? They've got to put a brand of football on the field that people want to play for. And I think that they come dangerously close to not doing that with the brand that they put on this season.
Yeah.
I thought it was mind-boggling half the time, maddening the other half of the time, but predictable all of the time.
Yeah. And I think if you put a good product on the field that can actually compete, it's going to be amazing what happens. The fans will start to believe. You'll actually
need the seats that have been unnecessarily built.
Exactly.
Instead of putting money into the football program.
It's all a culture change that needs to take place at Indiana.
Yeah, but that culture starts from within.
Sure.
And I'm talking about in the athletic director's office. That's where that has to start.
Yeah.
Football has to become important to Indiana. It is not. And if anybody, I don't care who it is, Fred Glass or anybody else wants to say otherwise, I'm going to say I'm sorry, but I've got facts that say otherwise. Yeah. You can dance it up with all the, well, we built it. I don't care what you built. I've seen how much they care about the football program. I've already listed the numerous reasons. I'm not going to go back into it again. It's there. It's facts. These are just simple facts. Undisputable. Indisputable facts.
Mad Dog text into the show, says, just a few observations. Having total knee replacement surgery today, and I can't say which is more painful, that or watching IU play on Saturday. If Moore is the best freshman in the Big Ten, this must be a crappy year for freshmen.
Yeah, he didn't get used. It's not that he's not good. It's he didn't get used.
No.
Again, where was he? Your biggest game of the season. And before I forget, Mad Dog, hope you get well soon, man. Thanks a lot for the text. Thinking about you, getting that surgery. But you're right. It is painful. Where was Reese Taylor?
Yeah.
Where? It's the biggest game. What are you saving it for? Because he's your backup?
Nah, he's well.
What are you saving him for 2023 along with Michael Penix?
Yeah.
Where was Reese Taylor? Where?
I would have loved to seen Reese Taylor thrown out there at quarterback a time or two.
He'd have done
once or twice.
Oh, man. Don't even get me started. Why wasn't everything possible done to win that game? To me, nothing possible was done. It was business as usual, which is very, very deboring. Yeah. It was extraordinarily deboring. And I'm like, waiting for the dam to break. Okay, you see, well, it didn't until the end, of course. Oh, hey, where was the touchdown? Let's try an onside kick. Let's kick it to Rondell Moore. I'm far, far from the smartest guy in any sport. But I'm like, hello? Bueller? Bueller? Is anybody there? It's like, no one, you knock and no one's home.
And that gets frustrating to watch.
Indiana's offense was a vacant house all year long.
Yeah.
The game plans coming in were ridiculous game after game. But the thing that was mind-boggling is no adjustments. Everybody else was making adjustments against anything Indiana was doing successfully. Teams get better as the season progresses. Do you think Purdue got better?
Oh, sure.
Do you think Wisconsin got better?
That's debatable.
Or is it?
They weren't all that great coming down the stretch.
Oh, really? What'd they do in their last game?
But I'm sure they got better, yeah.
What'd they do in their last game?
This past weekend?
You don't even know. Let me tell you what they did. They went to Wisconsin and beat Wisconsin's ass. They didn't win the game. They beat their ass.
Oh, I thought you were asking if Wisconsin got better this year.
No, I'm sorry. Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Did I not say Minnesota?
You said Wisconsin.
I
Yeah,
meant Minnesota.
that's why I said it's debatable with Wisconsin.
Minnesota.
But yeah, Minnesota
I meant
undoubtedly got better. No
and what did Minnesota do midstream a couple weeks ago after the Indiana game? After giving up 22 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, what does Minnesota do? Fire their defensive coordinator. Oh, I want to make my team better now. I don't want to wait till 2023. Why don't I do something now? Oh, that's a novel approach. Oh, how'd that work out for Minnesota? Well, pretty damn well. They're going to a bowl game. They go to Wisconsin and they beat their ass. They didn't win that game. They beat them soundly. They got better. Who won the Big Ten West Division? Northwestern. Oh, my, Northwestern, really? Do you have any idea how difficult it is to get into that school?
Right.
The players that they have to choose from? I don't want to hear this. It's hard that you just can't win at Indiana. Bull crap. You can win anywhere if you have the right stuff. If you care about the program, you can win. If you put the resources into winning, you win. Are you telling me that Northwestern's dumping in millions and millions of dollars? No, I've seen their stadium. But they got a good product on the field, don't they? They have a winner. There's my rant for the day.
I mean, it's rightfully so. I mean, you're absolutely right in all you're saying. It's frustrating. Indiana just does not. They have the ability to have the resources, but they don't have.
They had the resources.
Well, I mean, when I talk of resources,
the millions and millions and millions of dollars that come in from the Big Ten Network alone, offsets not having an empty stadium that Fred Glass has built nicely. Empty.
Looks great.
Empty. Half empty, at least. But it doesn't have to be that way.
No. Shouldn't have to be that way.
Ross-Ade Stadium in West Lafayette looked pretty full to me most of their games. Oh, that's because they were winning and having a shot in every game. I forgot. Oh, they improved. I forgot. Oh, how stupid of me. Northwestern's junky old Ryan Field, crap place to play. They don't need a fancy stadium. They just won the Big Ten West Division. Product on the field. Something Indiana needs to take a lesson in. But that opens up a whole other can of worms. We got plenty more coming up on the show today. Stay tuned. Don Fisher's on the program. Get your text in, 812-269-6367. Let us know what you're thinking. We'll be back with more here on Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. Today's guest is brought to you by Kentuckiana's Premier Truck Center, located 5 miles north of downtown Louisville, just off of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Monday, November 26th. Joined now by our good friend John Bowl from Wave 3 NBC in Louisville. John, how are you, sir?
I've had better sports weekends, bro.
It was not a good one for Wisconsin in football, that's for certain. Watch that game.
Man, tell you what, man, it doesn't get anywhere. A lot of people think the worst thing that can happen to a Wisconsin sports fan is to get beat by the Bears. That is not correct. The worst thing that can happen is to lose in college for the first time in 15 years to Minnesota, and then to lose to the Minnesota Vikings as well. It doesn't get any worse than that.
Oh, I know. It was a rough football weekend for Wisconsin, for the Cheeseheads. Shocker to me was Minnesota going into Wisconsin and not just winning that game, but beating their ass, basically. I mean, they put
Beat
them
'em
on
up.
them. They did.
Beat them up. Beat them up. Physically manhandled them. Wanted it so much more. Just embarrassing. Just pummeled them. Wasn't even close.
I'm very impressed with P.J. Fleck rowing his boat over everybody now. They were not a very good team not that long ago. They edge Indiana, but after giving up 21 fourth-quarter unanswered points, they fire their defensive coordinator midstream and make a change, which is usually be looked at as kind of a crazy move. But, hell, it worked. They're just rolling now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, since you follow Big Ten more closely than me, what the change was, because that's it. Because right after that, they destroyed Purdue, remember?
Yeah.
Beat them by like 30-some, and then, they're like a different team.
And that's ever since then. They played Indiana, a game Indiana should have won, was expected to win at Minnesota, and they jump out to this big lead. Indiana scores 22 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, but Minnesota comes up with a huge play, and a freshman quarterback with a freshman receiver to beat them, and then they go on to manhandle Purdue, which was a shock to me. But they have just become a juggernaut and become bowl eligible by beating Wisconsin. So what a turnaround for Minnesota.
Yeah, they were playing for something. They were playing for bowl eligibility. Wisconsin really wasn't playing for much. They were looking pretty locked into that New Year's Eve Tax Slayer Bowl either way. So I don't know. They must have just not cared. So, whatever. I was shocked this weekend at a number of things. I was up in Wisconsin with family for the holiday, and I watched on ESPN2. Whole family sat down and watched the U of L Kentucky game. And that was one of the most remarkably shocking things I've seen in football in a long time. The thuggery, cheap hits, disrespect, not listening to coaches. My jaw was dropped. Like, I kept wanting to, when the game was, essentially over, we kept watching because it was like this train wreck of epic proportion. And I just kept thinking as I was watching this game, if you're one of these potential coaches, like Brom or whomever, and you're watching that, like, you really want to go in and get involved in that? There's no way I'd want to touch that.
It looks like the inmates are running the asylum there at Louisville right now. Things have gotten out of hand for them.
Yeah, I mean, when the announcers are discussing whether the coach should get security to take his player off the field, that's really bad, man.
And that game has gotten a little chippy. Even last year, remember the garbage can incident with, I forget who the player for Kentucky was that had garbage can, throwing a garbage can, and Lamar Jackson was getting roughed up a little bit. So they've let that game get a little bit too far out of hand, I think.
Well, plus, yeah, all that for sure. That's the lead. But then there's, is this the first team ever to give up 5 50-plus point games in a row in Power 5?
Yep.
I mean, you've got nothing to work with. Nothing. A couple offensive players. You got nothing.
My question is, how did they get that bad, that fast?
I know. Oh, man. And then when you think about all the things Petrino said before the first game, most talented team ever and all this, it's just, oh, my gosh. What a train wreck. I wouldn't want to touch it.
Well, now the big question is, who is going to touch it? And is that going to be Jeff Brom, who it looked like a foregone conclusion without any doubts a week ago? Now, I still think it happens, but it's not seeming as likely at this very moment. Purdue's rolling. You got things are going that way. They're not going to give up easy. I heard Mitch Daniels, former governor of Indiana, now president of Purdue, is getting involved, trying to keep Brom up there. So it's not going to be an easy fight. That all just works into Brom's favor either way, though.
Yeah, Mitch Daniels he knows what he's doing. He's a smart dude. He might be able to keep him. I didn't think that was possible, but we're hearing settle. We don't know the real story. We're hearing settle that Brom wants too much money. Maybe that's just a guise for the fact he doesn't want to come and deal with this mess. Maybe he's got something hanging out there. Maybe he knows Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma's gone or Urban Meyer's gone. The other really intriguing thing from the weekend is I want to hear what you think about it. I had to drive, 7 hours talking about the big question of who's going to get in, Oklahoma or Ohio State, if they both win out here. What are your thoughts on that?
I even though I'm a Big Ten guy, I'm tired of seeing Oklahoma or Ohio State sneak in and then not do anything. But yet they beat a very, very good team in Michigan, but they've got their number, it seems like. So I'm just not sold on Ohio State, and I'm tired of seeing the same old with Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State up at the top. I'd rather go with Oklahoma, and to me they're equal on paper. But from an eye test, I like Oklahoma. Their defense sucks, but their offense is unbelievable, and that makes it fun and a very, very dangerous team.
I think in terms of resume, I don't even think it's close. I think Ohio State barely beat Nebraska, got beat by, 29 by Purdue, should have lost to Maryland if the quarterback can complete that pass. I don't think the resumes are even close. It's just way worse loss than Oklahoma's one loss in a thriller against Texas. But I'd like to see a little bit of defense played in games. And I can't go with a team. I don't know if I can go with a team that just, the other team punts once or maybe twice in an entire game, no matter who they're playing.
Yeah.
However, that being said, if I was the committee, I'd go ahead and make it. I would pick based on ratings and entertainment value, and I would go ahead and put Oklahoma as a 4 seed. So you got Tua against Kyler Murray, the 2 Heisman Trophy guys, and let them just go. Just let them go.
Yeah, I agree. It's time. It's something different. Then you got Notre Dame. That's going to be a nice big draw for them, but I'm not sold on Notre Dame being as good as these other teams.
No, they're not worthy. They're not worthy, but you can't keep them out with an undefeated record. That sucks. But
it does.
That's the way it is.
And talk about sucking. How about Central Florida losing their quarterback?
Yeah, things were opening up. You know what? Things were opening up to where maybe it could have happened this year. But you know what? This weekend, the other thing that occurred to me as I'm listening to everybody argue on the radio is this weekend was a good example of why, in my opinion, we don't need to go to 8 teams. Why 4 teams matter? Because the great thing about college football is every weekend matters. And a lot of these games would not matter if it was 8 teams. And essentially, what just happened was we just basically had the first round of a 3-week playoff system if it was 8 teams, right?
Yeah.
You just had Michigan and Ohio State play. They're top 8. Okay. We just kicked one out. Down, Ohio State advances. And we're getting that kind of feel with, things like West Virginia against Oklahoma last week, right? We're kind of in that third round of the playoff. We're going to get that with Georgia against Alabama. That is the playoffs. And that's what makes it special in appointment television to watch all these games.
Yeah, and the conference championships, so of course the Big Ten is going to have Northwestern against Ohio State, and unbelievably, it looks like potentially the second year in a row the Big Ten champion does not make it to the college football playoffs, which happening once blew my mind, but for it to happen 2 years in a row, mind-boggling.
Yeah, and it was weird the way it all laid out, but I felt there were arguments to be made both ways. And that's fine. But again, the reason why, a Penn State didn't make it 1 year and, and Ohio State didn't make it 1 year is because you played on the field every week in college football. And that's what makes it great. So, I'm okay with whoever they go with. I think lost in all this is the fact that this is the most one-sided, lopsided, this is UNLV in basketball in the 90s. It's Alabama and everybody else. And it really doesn't matter. I think they're going to kill anybody they play, even Clemson.
I agree. I don't think there's anybody that can stop Alabama except Alabama. They're just machine-like. They've shown it all year, with the exception of the Citadel game, which, granted, it's got to be tough to get fired up to play the Citadel after you've played a rough schedule already. So I don't hold that against them. They're just too good. They took a day off basically that day. But yeah, you're right. They're professional-like in their attack of the game each week. They look like a professional team that makes very, very few mistakes, and they do everything that they do it very well.
The other thing that was amazing from the weekend was I watched the Oklahoma game, And it is really amazing to me to watch the defensive players in the Big 12. They literally cannot tackle. They cannot tackle. There was a West Virginia on a crucial play late in the game, dropped four linebackers back, and they were all within a 5-yard area of each other guarding one guy. It literally is Keystone Cops in the Big 12 on the defense. It's comedy.
Absolutely, and that's why. But you see that on the field, and it comes through. But then on the other side of the coin, Oklahoma is a lethal team offensively. It reminds me of Indiana a couple years ago when they had Kevin Wilson. Indiana would put 50 points on the board, but they'd give up 49 or 52, depends. And that's how they would win the games, which is fun and maddening all at the same time.
Yeah, the intrigue in Big 12 games is it's a lot like a pro tennis match with two great servers. And you're going to hold serve every time. You're going to score every time. And so the intrigue is, can you break serve one time? Can you force the other team to punt one time? Then you're going to win the game. That's what it is every time.
Then you got Wisconsin's got a big basketball game coming up tomorrow night. The ACC Big Ten Challenge is underway. Indiana goes off to Durham, North Carolina to take on the #1 Duke Blue Devils tomorrow night. I'll be down there for that game. But that's going to be a tough matchup for Indiana as they take on the big boys, the triple-headed monster of those freshmen that Duke has.
Well, we're starting to see in college basketball who's good and who isn't. I watched the championship game of the Battle for Atlantis between Virginia and Wisconsin, and the announcers jokingly said before the game, first team to 50 wins. That's exactly what it was. It was like 53-46, and I don't think Virginia's any good either. They're not good, so I scratched them off my list. But we're starting to see some good ball. Indiana's absolutely in the mix. No, Wisconsin's not good. So we're all going to figure it out. Duke doesn't play defense, and if they're off a little bit, they can be had. Just like Gonzaga did to them. So it's all going to make sense by the end of the year.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Anything you're working on that you can talk about?
Yeah, I'm working on a story on the foster care system and the high number of AWOL, absent without leave, foster kids runaways in the state right now. That's what I'm working on right now. And other than that, I am in the middle of a bunch of trips up to Wisconsin. Drove through the snowstorm yesterday to get back. I got to go back up this weekend to help my daughter move. Just had my grandson's first birthday, and that was fantastic. And waiting for the ice to form on the lakes up in Wisconsin so I can do a little ice fishing, bro.
How did your daughter end up back in Wisconsin?
Married a guy, worked for Judson College in Elgin, and he just got a job as a tennis pro in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. So they fled the state of Indiana just as fast as he could possibly get a job. Illinois, just as fast as he could get a job.
I mean, was that just a coincidence that they ended up back in Wisconsin?
Well, he's from Wisconsin. Her husband's from Wisconsin, from the Milwaukee area, so they wanted to get back.
Oh, that's that has to warm your heart then. She married a guy from Wisconsin? Oh, that worked out perfect for you.
Oh, he's a big Badger, Brewer, Packer guy, so yes, I get along great with my son-in-law.
Man, what are the odds of that happening, really, though? Your daughter growing up down in the Louisville area and you being a Wisconsinite, a cheesehead, and for her to marry a cheesehead.
I know, and she didn't really date that many guys through high school and college, but it was funny. It was like Eddie Haskell and Leave It to Beaver, the fakeness of him. Like, she'd be dating a guy, and he'd bring me a Packer shirt, like a Reggie White shirt, to try to schmooze me. I'm like, dude, I ain't going for that.
Yeah, no, right. Apparently they don't watch the news. Knows that John Ball's the toughest investigative reporter around. That was smart of him.
Yeah, I guess. It didn't work, though.
John Ball from Wave 3 News. Appreciate you, brother. Hope you have a great week.
All right, you too, Jim. See you guys.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. John Ball from Wave 3 News joins us each and every week. Brought to you by Kentuckiana's Premier Truck Center. Whether it's one truck or the entire fleet, let Kentuckiana Premier Truck Center take care of your company's fleet. Experts in Cummins, Hino, and virtually every maker model, they'll take care of you. Kentuckiana Premier Truck Center. We've got a lot coming up yet. Don Fisher's on the show. If you have any questions, fire them in on the text line, 812-269-6367. Let us know what your thoughts are. But man, a big weekend ahead. Indiana taking on Duke tomorrow. That's going to be a tough matchup, Justin.
Yeah, should be fun. Is that a 9 o'clock game? Right?
9:30, unfortunately.
Oh, my gosh. Wednesday will be rough.
Oh, my God. 9:30, which means, a 9:30 start means they're not starting until 9:45.
Correct.
Because ESPN's got to come on and do their oh, my God.
Oh, and you got to wait for the game before to get
Thank
over.
God. The only good thing is Dick Vitale will not be doing this game. Well, he's not the number one. Jay Billis gets the number one game. So
from one Duke lover to another.
Exactly. Exactly. But at least he's a lot, for me, he's a lot of people, some people don't like him, but he's easier for me to take than listening to Vitale.
Well, if Jay Billis is there, it's likely that Dan Schulman will also be there. And for those of us that don't get to go, it's a pretty good broadcasting crew.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, those guys are experts together. I like listening to both of them, personally. I think they do an excellent job.
Yeah.
I do like listening to Billis. I have no problem with it. We've got to take a break. When we come back, the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers, Don Fisher, on the program. Indiana Sports Beat, right back after this. Stay tuned.
Down on the corner, out in the street, Willie and the po-po of the band, bringing you those happy feet.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch specials. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google. Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Monday, November 26th. Don Fisher, voice of the Indiana Hoosiers, joins us here in just a second. Coming off a huge weekend, Indiana sports basketball has got a big game tomorrow night as they will travel to Durham, North Carolina. You can catch Don Fisher on the call for that, of course. Right here. I think the game's at 9:30, so the broadcast should begin around 8:30. But tough matchup for the Hoosiers as they travel to Durham, North Carolina to take on the number one ranked Duke Blue Devils. And no one knows that better than the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers, Don Fisher. And we're joined by Don right now. Don, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
Another busy weekend for you, pulling double duty at a basketball game Friday night as the Hoosiers took on UC Davis, University of California Davis, a game that was a little tougher than a lot of people thought it might be for a while before Indiana was able to put the Aggies away.
Yeah, it was a busy week. Obviously, they beat Texas Arlington in a similar type of ball game on Tuesday night, and then, of course, UC Davis on Saturday. This is one of those struggle areas for this Indiana basketball team right now, and I say that in the sense of the injury problems that they're dealing with. Literally played 7 guys in the UT Arlington game, played 8 guys, but very few minutes for the guys that came off the bench in the UC Davis ball game. There's no question that the injury problems with several players that have kept them out of the lineup and off the floor have really affected this team, and I don't think there's any doubt that they've got to get some of these guys back if this team is to progress in the way that Archie Miller wants them to, and no doubt that it's affected practice as well. So all of these things coming into play at this point in the season. So you look at it from a positive standpoint, a lot of guys are getting some playing time, perhaps more so than they expected at this point in the year, but obviously great experience. On the downside, of course, there's no practice going on right now with a full complement of players. Therefore, it's tough to simulate what you're going to face on a given day against whatever team you're playing. So those things all come into play at this juncture. And, yeah, it wasn't a pretty performance in either case, but both games turned out to be victories. Both times Indiana was able to gut it out at the end. And in the UC Davis game, probably the most disturbing fact was the fact that almost all the starters played almost the entire ball game. I mean, it was an amazing scenario for both of these contests and the number of minutes played by a number of guys.
Yeah, Jawan played 40 minutes. Romeo played 39 and change. It's a lot. That's a lot of minutes on those legs of those guys. Not having the subs to come in to break that up is fatigue has got to start setting in. Not only they can't get things done in practice, as you alluded to, Archie can't move his team along like he'd like to without having the bodies. And in these games, they don't go away. They don't unschedule them, as now Indiana takes off for Durham, North Carolina for a tough matchup against the top team in the country, the Duke Blue Devils at Cameron Indoor.
Yeah, and if you look at it from the standpoint of what happened on the floor in these two ball games, there was nobody better than Jawan Morgan. I mean, the guy was just phenomenal. He had a double-double in both games, 23 and 10 against UT Arlington, and then he came up with a 31-point performance when really everybody was struggling in that ball game at the outset and throughout a good portion of it. And Juwan just absolutely took the game over himself. And he gets 31, which is 3 off of his career high, and 10 rebounds on top of that. He just is playing tremendous basketball, and we expect that from him because he's obviously the leader of this basketball team. He's obviously one of the guys that has the most experience, and he's playing like it, and that's exactly what you want to see out of a senior. He's a tremendous leader, as I said before, and I think the young guys really look up to him. But everybody's contributing who's able to play at this juncture. The problem is that sometimes the number of guys that can contribute is really hurting. And this is all after we expected this to be one of the deepest teams you've ever seen at Indiana from a talent standpoint. So right now they're struggling a little bit in that vein.
Yeah, Juwan Morgan, I don't know if you can say enough about a guy, because at this level, when you can dominate a game like he did the other night, it's mind-boggling. This is Division I basketball, and he just put that team on its back and just said, all right, I'm taking you home, and did it in every way fashionable. Shooting the ball, he shot the lights out. He hit 5 3-pointers that night.
Right, and that's one of the things that I've said all along. People, because he doesn't play outside very much, and they don't get a chance to see him shoot the basketball all that much from three-point land, I've always said, and I've told people, this guy's a really good shooter. He's a really good outside shooter. He's just not had a lot of opportunities to do that because they need him inside so much. Last year, he was really the only dominant factor they had inside after Deron Davis tore his Achilles, and he had to stay down low all the time. But this year, because Indiana has some more size, some more rebounding ability, they can get him out there on the perimeter every now and then, and he can knock down shots from out there, and that's going to continue. I mean, he's shooting well over 50% in three-point land right now, and he had, as you pointed out, 5 threes in that contest. So a special player, in my mind, one of the best that we've ever seen at Indiana in the sense of what he's able to accomplish for his size, especially in the post. And I think he's just getting better and better as this year wears on. I think he's going to be a major factor throughout. And hopefully some of these other players can come back now and give them a hand from the injury aspect. And I think that's going to happen this week. I think Devontae and Zach McRoberts both have a chance to get back here for the Duke ball game tomorrow night, or Tuesday night. Those guys are critical. They're 2 guys that probably would have been starters at the outset of this season. They just haven't been healthy enough to do so, except for Zach in that one ball game. But they basically missed the entire season up to this point. So getting those 2 guys back will be a critical factor. The question is, what kind of shape that they'll be in, and can they be as sharp as you need them to be to play in a special game like the one that's coming up on Tuesday?
Absolutely. And I don't know that people understand the effect of the loss of Zach McRoberts, who he's not going to blow you away on the stat sheet, but someone who's been around the IU program as long as you have been, who is Zach Roberts? He affects that game so much in ways that are not on paper, but I can see it when he's been out. His leadership, his calming ability. Who would you equate him to of a different player over the years for Indiana?
Well, it's hard to judge that. I mean, the one guy it makes me think of, because Zach doesn't make mistakes out there, and he comes when he last year, of course, he came off the bench for a good portion of the season. Then the last half of the season, he was a starter. He kind of reminds me of Tom Abernathy a little bit. Back in the 70s, he was part of the national championship team. He was a starter that whole season, basically coming off the bench his junior year. He just reminds me of that. He's kind of an unassuming guy that he's not into stats. He's not into scoring unless it's open shots and those kinds of things. He doesn't take bad shots. He's just a very cerebral player. And Tom Abernathy was exactly that kind of guy as well. So he does remind me of Tom a little bit. Not necessarily in the sense he's probably better from an athletic standpoint and quicker, and probably a little bit better defensively. But Tom was very much that kind of guy. He did exactly the same kinds of things, all the little dirty work type things that you want to see from a player.
And of course, on the football field over the weekend, Indiana, a tough loss to Purdue for the bucket and for bowl eligibility. The football season comes to a close, and hopefully they can get things back together, get past the injuries and all that, and head into next season.
Well, this is a football team that's still in the growth syndrome. There's a question about that. As I told you at the very beginning of this year, Jim, I think the one thing that this football team, if they would have come into this football season with a defense that had a lot of starters back, or at least a semblance of starters, I would have thought that this team could be a really good ball club and could have won a lot more ball games. But at the beginning of the season, I think I told you if this team wins 4 or 5 ball games this year, people ought to understand that that's probably about as much as they can do. They ended up winning 5, and I thought at one point, of course, they got off to such a good start at 4-1. Everybody's expectations rose beyond the norm, and now we're talking about maybe 7 wins, 8 wins, that kind of thing. But you're in one of the toughest divisions in college football, without question, in the East of the Big Ten. The schedule's just very difficult, and Indiana played, I thought, pretty competitively against virtually everybody they played, with the exception of the Iowa ball game. I thought that was the one game that really totally got away from them. And then they played poorly in a couple of ball games that maybe they could have won. Obviously, the Minnesota game stands out in that category. But at the same time, it's a young team in the sense of defense. It's still a young team for the most part on offense. So they had a freshman running back, a redshirt freshman, a redshirt sophomore quarterback. This is a ball club that has a lot of growth still to do, but at the same time, you can see that they've got some pieces there. And if you get Michael Penix back next year to help Peyton Ramsey, there's so many good things that are happening with this team. And if Tom Allen is able to bring in the recruiting class that we think he's going to be able to bring in on top of everything else, then this team is going to be, I think, really start making the kind of change and the kind of optimism that you can expect from a program that's on the rise. And I think that's exactly the case with this team. And right now it doesn't feel that way because you lost again to Purdue, and the old Oaken Bucket stays in the hands of the Boilermakers.
Yeah, they had a lot of young talent on the rise, that's for certain. What are you got the coaches show tonight?
We have, no, we don't have any. See, the difference between football and basketball is we have 15 shows to do in basketball. Those can be spread out, and we spread them out based on whether Indiana's playing a Tuesday night basketball game or not. Because we do play Tuesday night this week, we're not going to have a talk show this coming Monday. We will have one the next Monday when we travel again, but that'll be on tape. That'll be one of the reasons we have to get 15 shows in during the season. So we will have a show, and throughout this year, probably only going to be 3 shows in December, 3 shows in January, I think maybe 4 shows in February and 1 in March. So right now there are some Mondays that we won't have a show, and this is one of those coming up.
Well, a deserved break for you as well, but we'll see you in Durham, North Carolina tomorrow night as the Indiana Hoosiers take on the number 1 ranked Duke Blue Devils. Don Fisher on the call, of course, as always. Thank you so much, Don, for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. See you, Jim.
You bet. Have a great day. Don Fisher, the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers. Catch the broadcast of Indiana taking on Duke Blue Devils. Brought to you, of course, by Bubba's 33 of Clarksville. Make sure you stop by Bubba's 33 and get you a great meal. It's been a great show today. Drew Davis was on, Sammy Davis, John Bowe, and we just wrapped up with Don Fisher. Hope you've had an enjoyable day and a great start to your week. Hope it doesn't get too cold. You stay warm.
Oh, it's going to get too cold.
Oh, it's already too cold for me. We went from like 60 degrees yesterday to blustery snow. It's like a 30-degree turnaround.
It's snowing on my way here this morning. I think it's going to be snowing when we leave, to be honest.
It's just, hey, I'm heading south.
Somewhat. It's still cold there, right?
It's 10 degrees difference usually.
Is it?
Yeah. Plus,
you better bring your swim trunks.
Plus, it's not a part of the Midwest, so it's not hitting the the snowstorm, ice, whatever you call it,
sure.
Winter snap that's coming through. Won't be hitting down there, thank goodness. So looking forward to getting away from that.
Hopefully the Hoosiers can pull a win.
Yeah, well, we'll see. It's going to be a tough road to hoe for certain down at Durham, North Carolina. But make sure you keep it tuned right here on Big X Sports Radio. You can hear that broadcast with Don Fisher. That's going to wrap it up for us here today on Indiana Sports Beat. For Justin Kalen, I'm Jim Coyle, and I'll see you on the radio.